What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my show, the Angelo Stephen Show. I'm so happy to have y'all back again. This is episode 2. First of all, I want to thank everyone who showed all the love and support on episode 1. Thank you for everyone who shared it. Thank you for everyone who liked it. And one request I have is if you all like the episodes, if you all like the way I speak, I ask you all to, share it to 10 other people so we can make our community bigger. And I know Wednesday is the upload date, but I got a little sick, so I couldn't, do the upload on time. So sorry for the delay. But this episode is one of my favorite. We're going to talk about one of my favorite directors in Hollywood. I loved his work. I still love his work. I admire the way he looks at everything. It's none other than Quentin Tarantino. We're gonna talk about Tarantino, about him, why I like him, and we're gonna dive deep into his how he became a director, some insights in his life and everything. So it's a very special episode and a very close to my heart because I really loved his work. And I'm really looking forward to his next movie that is going to come soon as well. And before we move on to the episode, I would like to, say that this episode is also available on Spotify. You can listen to it as an audio in Spotify when you're driving. You don't have to listen to it on YouTube and see my beautiful, lovely face. You can also listen to it on Spotify. So show some love. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, and also share it to 10 other people. And if you have time, listen to it on Spotify as well. Now let's get to the episode. Quentin Jerome Tarantino, born March 27, 1963. He was born in Knoxville, Tennessee, and he was living there until he was 3 or 4 years old. And then he moved to California. He moved to LA, Los Angeles, California, where, the movies are made, filled with cultures of film, movies, any corner you turn, someone is talking about Hollywood or someone is trying to be in Hollywood. And he grew up in Los Angeles, California. That played a major part in his movies and his works, like his latest film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, is an homage, is a love letter to Hollywood. It showed the time he grew up. It showed everything where he grew up around, which was a great depiction of that Hollywood during that time period and the hippie culture and everything. So that's where he moved. I'm not sure how true this is, but his mother and his stepfather will take young Tarantino to movies, and under one condition. Once you enter the movie theater, you're an adult. You're not a kid anymore. You can be a kid in the morning, but in the evening, once you enter the movie theater, you are an adult. I'm going to treat you like an adult. You're not going to ask any questions. You're going to watch the movie. But while coming back, the drive back home, Tarantino's parents gave him the space to ask all the questions he had about the movies when they were driving back home. And Tarantino had so much questions. He'll always ask, why is this? Why is that? And his mom was very into movies, and that love transferred to Tarantino, and he also started to fall in love in movies. And in one of the movie, the director ended in a freeze frame where he shot the villain, or the hero, I think, shoots the villain. The hero shoots the villain, and the gunshot sound comes and freeze. The director ended it in a freeze frame, and Tarantino was like, why did the director end it like that? He showed me the whole movie, might as well show that scene as well. Why end it in a freeze frame? Then Tarantino's mom decides it's for the audience to decide, and he kept asking, why should I decide? I know he's gonna die. That's the decision that the audience are gonna make, obviously, but just show it. Then Tarantino's mom says, see, it's the director's choice. This is what the director decides, and this is what we're gonna get. It is ultimately whatever the director's calling is. That's how movies work. And I feel like that is when his eyes was opened, like, oh my god, there's something called direction. And he was like, that's what I think, that was the moment he was leaning towards direction. And if you notice in his movies, you can see a lot of freeze frames time to time in his movies. I feel like this is where he got the inspiration from. And after college, I think he dropped out of college, and after that he tried to pursue his career in acting. Yes, Tarantino wanted to act first. He acted in a lot of B-grade movies, like low budget films, but he couldn't be successful as an actor. He was a failed actor, and couldn't find a job. And then he was able to find a job in a video store, in a VHS store, sorry, VHS store, where he worked as a salesman. And it's located in Manhattan Beach, California. That's where he worked. And an interesting fact here is, before he got the job, he went to the movie store, the video store, and he was asking about Brian D. Palma. Brian D. Palma, Scarface, director of Scarface, very famous director. He was asking about his next movie, because the movie that was available in the store was, I think he previously watched it, so he was asking when his next movie will come. And he spoke to the owner for 4 hours. He had a conversation with him for 4 hours just about Brian De Palma. The owner of the video store was surprised. He was like, oh my God, how can someone talk about Brian De Palma for 4 hours straight? And the owner said, see, I need someone like you in the store to, talk to the customers who are coming in, who can talk about movies. Will you take a job here? And Tarantino said no, straight up, because Tarantino has an attitude. You can tell it. He's like, hey, this is me. This is how I am. So based on that, he's like, no, I'm not gonna take it. Then the owner gives him a deal. See, I'll pay you the salary that you are gonna get. On top of that, you can take any movie you want home for free, watch it, and bring it back. Tarantino thought that was a good deal because he loves movies, and he cannot spend money to rent movies or go to theater. So he can get movies for free and work and talk about movies and stay in movies that he loves. So he took the job, and that was a very important, I feel like that's where he learned cinema, how to craft cinema properly, in the time he worked in the video store. For instance, he would talk to customers about when they are giving back the movies. Some movies the customers will bring it back the next day, or within a couple of days that they rent. But some movies take a long time. Sometimes it'll be overdue and they'll pay extra money, and he'll talk to them. It's like, why did you take so long, or why did you give it quickly? And he will note down every aspect the customer is telling about the movie. Basically, he'll get the critic from the audience directly, and he will note down which part is slow, which part is fast. Why did you keep this? Why were you sharing it to other people to watch it, keep watching it over again? What stood out in this movie? Everything. So that's where he learned how to make a movie properly. He learned about the positives about a movie. He learned about the negatives about a movie. He note down everything, and he was able to look at a movie in a critical point of view, and get the good and the bad, and not just blindly look at it. And based on this, you can say he's like a perfect fanboy for the movie industry in general, not just a specific movie. He's a movie nerd. He watches all movies from all different languages. And another interesting thing that happened when he was working in the video store was he made a friend who was a director, and he gave Tarantino a script. As he was talking to him, same way the owner felt an eye-opening experience by talking to Tarantino, he also had the same experience. And he gave him a movie script. I believe the movie is called On the Road. It's a script, not the novel. I believe that's what it's called. And he read, this man, once he got the script, he quit his job. He quit the job that he had in his VHS store and sat down and, reworked. The director gave him a script to rework. And he also said, hey, do it if you have time. Don't put in effort. Just do it if you have time. This man took it to heart, quit the job, sat down, and actually reworked, put his time and effort and reworked the script. And he gave it back, and he said, yo, I redeveloped it and I got a new ending. I changed the ending and I got a new ending. And then I reworked it, reverse worked it from the ending, from the new ending. Then I got another ending, and I have two different scripts here. Pick which one you like, and you can choose it. And those two scripts are, one of them was True Romance, which was directed by Tony Scott, and the second script was Natural Born Killers, which was directed by William Oliver Stone. Based on this, you can see how talented Tarantino was. With just one script, one story, he was able to, develop two different stories. And as you can see, if you see True Romance and Natural Born Killers, you can not judge that they are from the same story. The base is same. And this was his entry into Hollywood, and he made his debut as a screenplay writer. Then in 1992, his first film, Reservoir Dogs, a low-budget film. It was a heist. Our heist has gone wrong. And the interesting part about this is, what I noticed is, he never shows the heist. He just shows how it is planned. And they hear some gunshots, the heist has failed, and what happens after the heist failed. It's a great movie. It's a cult classic movie too. And this movie introduces Tarantino's style, non-linear storytelling, sharp dialogues, and a stylish way of showing violence. Tarantino's violence is different. You can you can tell by looking at it. Oh, this is a Tarantino inspired violence, or a violence, made by Tarantino. It has a unique style to it. And Reservoir Dogs was critically successful, and it also made money. It was both commercially successful and critically successful. And this movie, opened everyone's eyes to look at Tarantino. Everyone was like, oh, someone new is in the block. Someone new is making movies. And this one started to create a fan base for Tarantino. Everyone went to watch the movie for Tarantino. And me personally, growing in India, in Tamil Nadu, their movies are more of hero based. I'm gonna watch this hero's movie or this main character's movie. But for the first time, even in my city, people were like, oh, I'm gonna watch a Tarantino movie. I don't care who it is. It's a Tarantino movie and it'll be good. So people became fans of Tarantino and not the people who are starring in Tarantino's movie, And the next movie he made in 1994, he made these two movies back to back, was Pulp Fiction. And Pulp Fiction has a cult classic following as well. And people till date are experiencing Pulp Fiction. It has never gotten old. That's the beauty about Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction never gets old. People who are born, I was born in 99, and my brother who was born in 2000, he's also in love with Pulp Fiction. So it's like a generation thing. People, keep experiencing it. And the dialogues in Pulp Fiction, especially by Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta, where they talk about the Royale and cheese and all those dialogues. It has a special place, and Pulp Fiction got to receive so many awards. It went to Cannes Film Festival, and it also won an Oscar for original screenplay writing. That was Tarantino's first Oscar. This story is more of multiple stories with one that are combined together. You would have to watch Pulp Fiction to experience it. It's not in chronological order, and it's very non-linear, and people will love it. Pulp Fiction is an amazing movie. And the people who starred in it, Bruce Willis, Uma Thurman, John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, and so on, till date everyone, even critiques, even talk show hosts, if they have an interview with them, they will not move past without talking about Pulp Fiction. Everyone who was involved in the movie, it took them to a next level. And Tarantino was solidly credited as a great screenplay writer. And from this movie on, he was looked, a level above and beyond. And when I talk about Pulp Fiction, I have to talk about, Tarantino's signature styles and themes. From now on is where you can see, oh, it's a Tarantino style movie. His main example would be non-linear storytelling. And an example about this would be Pulp Fiction. A prime example is Pulp Fiction. Without talking about Pulp Fiction, we cannot move past non-linear. It's a very complicated script. If you look at the movie, you would say, yeah, Tarantino deserved that Oscar for the screenplay of this movie. It was so well written, and so the screenplay was well written, and it's just an amazing movie. And Tarantino believes in nonlinear storytelling because it keeps the audience engaged in the movie. It keeps the audience thinking. So that's why in most of his movies he believes telling stories non-linearly, so the audience can keep thinking, oh, this is why this happened, oh, remember that, that's how, that's why this is happening here, or this happened this, that's why that happened there. So it keeps the audience thinking, their mind keeps working, and they're not just blandly watching the movie. And next up is dialogues. Tarantino movies have lengthy dialogues. My dad used to say, man, Tarantino has so much dialogue, but I feel like that is the beauty in a Tarantino movie, that it has a lot of talking portions and lengthy dialogues between characters. For example, the dialogue that is shared between Christopher Waltz and Jamie Foxx in Django Unchained after he frees Jamie Foxx, Django. He takes him to a bar and he explains to him what his profession is while he's making a beer for fixing a beer for him and Jamie Foxx. That dialogue, that's one of my favorite. And the most commonly talked about dialogue, like I mentioned before, the Royale with cheese, where Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta are driving in a car. And if it's a normal movie, you just see a car driving, they reach the destination. But it's a Tarantino movie. You show what happens in the car ride. And during the car ride, they talk about how John Travolta used to live in London, and they talk about burgers and difference between McDonald's here in America and in London. In America, McDonald's quarter pounder with cheese, but in America, in London or in England, wherever he was, the whole system changes. There, they don't use pounds; they use kilograms. So there, they call it Royale with cheese. So they talk about that. And they're having this kind of a conversation. They talk about, feet massages and all that. And all of this, they talk about it before they go to murder someone. That blew my mind when I was first watching. I was like, oh my God, they're going to kill someone. But look how casual they are. Is this how it is? It just blew my mind because I grew up watching films where like they're gonna murder us. Like everyone is serious, no one talks. They're just like, okay, didn't, didn't. They kill. That's how I grew up watching this. But this one was totally different, and it just blew my mind. It blew my mind. And next, what I want to talk about is Tarantino's violence and humor. Tarantino's violence, like I said before, it's stylized. It is very unique, and it has a dark humor to it. You just want to close your eyes. You don't want to look at it, but at the same time, you feel like, oh my God, they deserve it or something like that. It's very funny. For example, a funny incident would be the way he kills, but the way Django kills Tarantino himself. He makes a cameo as a random cowboy. Django's a Western, and they capture Django. And Django tells them a story of how he's a bounty hunter, and he's gonna go catch them. And Tarantino and his partner talk, and they fall for it, and they were like, okay, here you go, here's the gun. And Jamie just looks at the gun, shoots Tarantino, and the way that you see the scene, the way it's staged, it's very humorous and it's very funny, and very disturbing scenes. For example, in Kill Bill, when Uma Thurman kills, the Asian girl, and the way she kills her, that's how Kill Bill 1 ends. After the fight, they do a sword fight, and then she runs towards it, slice opens her head, and you can see a shot where the hairpiece is falling off. Then they show a close-up of her face, and slowly camera moves up. You see the brain, which is open. It's very disturbing, but when you see it as a movie, you'll be like, oh my God, how could someone like this think? And the way he interrupts his violence has inspired a lot of people. I really like Tarantino's violence. That is also one of his movies, but his movie is not just violence. If you take a deeper look at it, it has so much layers and so much, he has a lot of politics in the movies too. He talks about a lot of politics and stuff. So his movie is a great. Everyone should watch his movies. And pop culture reference. Tarantino's movies are filled with references. For example, his movies' music, like he bought in something. His movie will always have this where the characters walk in slow motion and a music is played. Like when the music came out, they would have not even, noticed it. But now Tarantino gives a new flavor to it. For example, in Kill Bill, where the Asian girl walks into the place, they'll be tan tan tan. That music, it's like so amazing. And this has inspired so many people. Like for instance, um, in Animal, the use of Arjun Velli and DJ Lal, I believe Sandeep Rendivanga was inspired by Tarantino to use these kinds of soundtracks for his movies. And the way, and more than music, other pop culture references too, like for instance Pulp Fiction and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has so much references that I wonder how can someone have everything stored like this. Like his brain is a big hard disk. It's just, it wows me every time. It's so amazing. Now I would like to talk about some notable films of Tarantino. First off, I would start with Kill Bill. The first ever Tarantino movie that I saw was Kill Bill. It is an homage to martial arts and samurai cinema. There's a lot of reference to martial arts, a lot of reference to the samurai culture, and it's about a bride who is seeking revenge of who killed her baby and put her in a coma. It's a movie that has elaborate fight scenes, but you won't get bored with it. And the story is so intricate. It's divided into two volumes, part one, part two, or Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2. And it's an amazing movie. I watched that movie 3, 4, or 5 times. It's so great. And I watched it a little later, after like 10 years later than it got released. So I was watched Volume 1, which is close to 3 hours. Then immediately I watched Volume 2 because I couldn't wait to. It was so, the storyline was so interesting that I wanted to immediately watch part 2. So in one day I finished both Volume 1 and Volume 2. Then I revisited it again and watched it slowly. It's a great homage to martial arts. And they talk about a katana, how katana chooses you and you do not choose a katana. And the scene where they explain how a katana is made and the way they respect katana and giving a master presenting a katana to his follower. It's just amazing the way he rewrote those scenes, and the soundtrack in Kill Bill is just amazing. And they do not reveal the bride's name until the end, so the whole movie Uma Thurman is called the bride. So that's a great twist as well. Not a very notable twist, but I thought it was very interesting the way they named her. You guys should definitely watch Kill Bill. And the next movie I want to talk about is Inglourious Bastards. Sorry for that's the title. Sorry for my language, I would say, but like it's a version where Tarantino rewrites history in his own version. It's about the time where the Nazi leaders and the Jewish, that time period, what was happening. And in Tarantino's thing, he shows how a group of Jewish soldiers Jewish soldiers kill the Nazi leader. And the way they show him, the way he kills it, two people have machine guns and they just shoot him back to back, and they just show his face explode because of all the gunshots. It's like, because history happened, you say, yes, that's how he deserves to die. Then that's what Tarantino did. And it was so satisfying to watch that because of all the things, what happened. But that's the way of Tarantino rewriting history in his own way and showing it in his own style. And the performances, Christopher Waltz got an Oscar for this, and the way he portrayed his character is so scary. From scene 1 in his introduction, he's just smiling, but his smile just gives the chills. So creepy, so villainic, and so demonic. It's just great movie. And the list can go on and on. Out of all of these, my favorite movie is Django Unchained. Django Unchained is a proper action movie. And an interesting fact is, it was not first offered to Jamie Foxx. It was first offered to Will Smith, but Will Smith and Tarantino had creative differences. I thought Will Smith should have, taken this one. It would have been a great movie. But he said, instead of living with the Hilda, the heroine, I should just give her freedom, let her go. And Tarantino was like, what? That's how I sounded too when he said that. It's like, bro, you're an action hero. I'm giving you an action script. So that creative difference is just, Will Smith lost it, then Jamie Foxx got it. And yeah, Django Unchained did have some controversial dialogues in them, but people who acted in them were backing him up, saying, hey, if you watch the movie, you would know he did not disrespect us. He made us into as a hero. I'm not the one to speak, but I'm just repeating what was said by everyone who acted in the movie. And it's one of my favorite movies. It's a great action movie, and the way they used blood in this movie, blood just splatters. Of course, it doesn't happen like that in the real life, but when he shoots Calvin Clandy or his sister, the blood just splatters. So he kills Calvin Clandy. They finish his funeral. Jamie Foxx is waiting for them to come. They walk him. He's upstairs. They're downstairs, and he speaks. Then he shoots Calvin Clandy, Leonardo DiCaprio's sister in the movie, and she just, let's say she's standing like this, she just flies like that, which was wow. The way they did action in this movie with guns and everything, it's great. And it's a great spaghetti western. It's a remake too, and the original guy who played Django makes a cameo in this Tarantino's movie as well, when the doctor, Christopher Waltz, and Jamie Foxx go to meet Calvin Clandy for the first time in the fight scene. Jamie Foxx will be waiting in the bar. The guy who asks him, what's your name? And he says, Django. And do you know how it's spelled? And he says, yeah, Django. The D is silent. The guy who asks Jamie Foxx to spell the name is the guy who played Django originally. So yeah, like I said, so many pop culture references, so much. The soundtrack, everything is one of my favorite. Like even my phone wallpaper, Django Unchained wallpaper. It's just so amazing. I just fell in love with this movie, and it's one of my favorite movies from Tarantino. And to talk more about his impact on cinema, he did not just inspire the Hollywood directors. His inspiration goes above and beyond. Like, for example, the Parasite director, when he won the Oscar, he said, Tarantino, thank you so much for inspiring. And so much directors in the Tamil film industry where I was born, the city where I was born, the state I was born in, pay homage to Tarantino. A few to name would be Lokesh Kanagaraj, Karthik Subraj. They all have, they have paid their homages to Tarantino in their movies. And his work is above and beyond, and he has inspired so many people with his movies. And one thing I would like to talk about Tarantino is Tarantino did not go to film school. He went to movies. And Tarantino openly says, yes, I do steal from movies, but his way of stealing is he does not copy them. He takes it and it's a proper inspiring story. Like, I think Reservoir Dogs was inspired from a Korean movie where it's a heist movie, but if you see both of them, you won't even know that it was taken from that. So Tarantino gets inspired and uses it in his movies. For example, the scene in Kill Bill, where the animation scene where he shows how a child kills a man, and it's so much violent that was inspired from a Tamil movie called Alavandan. So, Tarantino does take it from other movies. He gets inspired from other movies. Yes, he steals from other movies and he openly says it, but the way he does it, you would not know it's a stealing. It's a proper homage to that director. And people don't get inspired from Tarantino, though. I feel like they steal it from him. But some people do get inspired, like his fast zoom in front of the character's face. I've seen that happen in a lot. Even my brother, he took a short film. I'll put the link in the description for that. He inspired the way he made it was inspired from Tarantino. See, Tarantino is inspiring me. Tarantino is inspiring the generation after me, the generation before me. He just goes on and on and on. And a few things that Tarantino's trademark is it's a funny one. Foot. Tarantino loves foot. I think he has a foot fetish. Like everything, you can see him. He has a shot for his foot. For example, in Jackie Brown, she'll walk and they'll have a close up to her feet. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there's a specific close up shot to the feet. So much inspiring things are done by Tarantino, and so many fun things that are done by Tarantino as well. Like, these are just small things. I try to give a gist of it. If we start talking about Tarantino, time flies. We can talk more and more and more. Uh, and one thing that he has said was after 10 movies, he's going to retire from the movie industry. So he's going to make 10 movies and it's done. So far, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was his ninth. And I'm waiting for his 10th movie. And I've never watched Tarantino movie in a theater. So I am going to watch Tarantino's movie in a theater, his last one, to pay respect to my favorite director in his last work. He did say he's gonna do some writing, but his direction, his movie, this his is gonna be his last one. They did make an announcement, but I think they canceled it, and he's still trying to gather ideas. So this is his last one. So I think he wants to give all of it. So let's see what's gonna happen. And I hope I inspired you all to go and watch the Tarantino movie. Watch them. It will definitely be entertaining. It will definitely be worth the watch. It won't be slow, but at the same time, it will have a great impact. And do follow me on Instagram, as you can see on the screen, Angelo Stephen 2024. And make sure you like, subscribe, and also listen to me on Spotify, The Angelo Stephen Show, same title, The Angelo Stephen Show. And share it to 10 other people if you all don't mind. It will just, make our community bigger. And every week there's going to be an upload. I got sick this week, so it got a little delayed. But every week there's going to be an upload every Wednesday. And I'll see you all in the next episode. For now, it's me, Angelo, signing off in the Angelo Stephen Show. Bye.